Okay, we are live.
All right, thank you. Good morning, everyone. I would like to call to order today's meeting of the New Jersey Pinelands Commission. Jay, good morning. Can you please read the Open Public Meetings Act statement?
Yes, good morning. Adequate notice of this meeting of the Pinelands Commission was given in compliance with the requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act by providing notice to all municipal and county clerks within the Pinelands area and to the Secretary of State on December 21, 2023, and to the Commission's officially designated newspapers on December 21, 2023, and by posting a copy on the Commission's website.
Great, thank you. Sue, can you please call roll?
Okay. Commissioner Salta.
Here.
Commissioner Avery.
Here.
Commissioner Christie.
Here.
Commissioner Holroyd.
Here.
Commissioner Ivor.
Here.
Commissioner Letman. Commissioner Lobauer.
Here.
Commissioner Moriello.
Here.
Commissioner Meade, will you be joining later? Commissioner Tulowitzki.
Here.
Commissioner Rittler Sanchez. Here. Commissioner Wallner.
Here.
And Commissioner Mott.
Here.
Nice quorum today.
Nice quorum to close out the year. Can everyone please rise and join me in the pledge? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Okay. Can I please have a motion and a second to adopt the minutes from our November 8th meeting?
I move the motion.
All right, thank you. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Thank you. All right, into reports, and I'm gonna kick us off with the report on the Policy and Implementation Committee meeting, which was held on November 22nd, 2022. Committee approved the minutes from the October 25th meeting. Staff reviewed the executive director's report on Hamilton Township Ordinance 2085-2024, adopting a site-specific redevelopment plan for a former industrial site in the forest area. Committee members moved to recommend certification of Ordinance 2085-2024 to the full commission. And that is on our agenda for today. The committee also heard a presentation on road vehicle ordinances in the Pinelands and discussed a draft model ordinance. Committee members offered recommendations regarding language within the draft ordinance. When finalized, the model ordinance could be distributed to Pinelands municipalities as a resource that they can use to potentially craft their own ordinances, but municipalities will not be required to adopt the model ordinance. Committee members also heard public comments, including a request for future discussion on wetlands delineation and comments in support of the commission offering resources relating to regulating off-road vehicles within the Pinelands. Anyone have any questions or comments? No? All right. Thank you. And next up is Sue.
I'm reading it. Okay. Just a lot of organizational things going on today. Sorry. Okay. Just a few things, most of which you're probably already aware of, but are worth mentioning. So DEP recently released its visiting vehicle use map for Wharton State Forest. We were aware that it was coming. They did give me a heads up an hour or two before the big announcement, so that was good. So we were prepared and offered to meet with us if you had any questions or concerns or wanted to go over anything with them, which we may take them up on that offer in the new year, just to talk about logistics and how we're planning to close off some of the roads or trails and how that might affect our staff or our research or any of that. So that was big news. I had begun to wonder whether it would really be happening. And so they had said they wanted to do it before the end of the year, and they did. So We are continuing to work. I wish I had a bigger, better announcement to make relative to our Fenwick Manor rehabilitation project. We are continuing to work our way through the RFP and award process for our design consultants. Run into some issues and potential concerns in working with Treasury and the Property Management and Construction Office in terms of their ability to award the bid and the future contracts that need to be done. So we suggested a path forward with them. We are hoping that they will proceed and award bid. I hope that would have been done before today, very shortly, and then that will enable us to proceed with the rest of the project. And working directly with the consultant, which is what we think the best process will be. So I'm unfortunately we're a little bit delayed, but I'm hopeful that the steps will be completed fairly soon. And then we will be able to make some progress in getting started with the project. So I stare at the cracks in my chimney every day, and they're not getting any better. So let's see, we will need to go into closed session today at the end of the meeting to discuss personnel matters. I expect the commission will come back into open session after that and actually take an action. So for those of you who are interested in that and want to stay through the end of the meeting and remain here even after the closed session for the vote, there will be, I expect a vote back in open session to end the meeting. And then finally, because I do recognize lots of you in the audience today and are here obviously to talk about the redesignation of a portion of the Black watershed, just an update for everybody. First of all, just to clarify, this is not a public hearing. There's no public hearing happening today. This matter is not on the commission's agenda for action. There will be a hearing, but it won't be until next year when the proposal is formally published in the New Jersey Register. Then there will be a formal hearing and written comment accepted and record created, which you're all welcome to participate in and submit written comments and oral comments at that time to make them part of the formal record. Obviously, public comment today is fine and can be heard at the end of the meeting from all of you. So that's procedurally today. But more importantly, I did want to just give an update on the status of the proposal, the formal proposal. Pretty much done. I'm waiting to plug in and confirm some final numbers and data. And then it should be off to the governor's office for review next week. And then we'll see. Hopefully, early in the new year, it'll be ready for formal action and authorization by this commission. That'll be scheduled, put on an agenda. Documents will be posted at that time for everybody to review. So we're very close to moving forward with that next step. And that, I think that's all that I have on my list, unless there are questions about it.
Any questions or comments for Sue? Right, hearing none. Chuck.
Good morning, commissioners and members of the public. I just had 3 brief items I wanted to mention. On December the 6th, the executive director, after consulting with the chairperson of the commission, sent a letter to Stockton University, making an emergency determination under our regulations that the replacement of a deteriorating potable water storage tank, it's an elevated tank at Stockton that provides water for the university and for fire suppression purposes. It was a determination made by the university that it was deteriorating and in danger of failing. And that December 6, 2024 letter authorized Stockton to begin construction of their new elevated water storage tank. Stockton had actually completed an application for the replacement of the tank, and it has been somewhat delayed by the restriction issue that we've discussed in the past out of the university. The deed restriction is about to be formally resolved. The application will be on for public comment at the commission's January meeting and acted on at the February meeting. So again, both the executive director and the chairperson deemed it appropriate to grant that emergency determination to Stockton. A copy of that letter will be emailed to all the commissioners after today's meeting. The second item I wanted to mention was, we've been working with Hamilton Township on the capping of their landfill that's located in the town's industrial park right outside of Mays Landing. They want to cap their landfill and then construct a solar facility on top of the landfill. A threatened endangered species issue was encountered 3 or 4 months ago. The staff provided guidance to the applicant how we thought the design of the project could be revised so that the project could move forward and still protect the habitat for that particular endangered species. There was a delay in the applicant responding. I called the mayor, advised him of the issue that was being encountered and thought that it could be resolved. A meeting has been set up for December 16th with the township administrator, the mayor, and the applicant to further discuss the solar facility. I'm hopeful with everybody in the same room that we can move the project forward for Hamilton's. And the last thing I wanted to mention was that last week we met with an applicant that had received a certificate of filing at Hamilton Township right off the Black Horse Pike. I believe it's the Atlantic Community College campus. It's right adjacent to that. An applicant received a certificate of filing in 2015 to build the 75 homes. It's covered somewhat in the management report, so I won't go into all the details, but seems to be a reoccurring theme that we're encountering over the last year. Nothing happened after that 2015 certificate of filing. And then we received notice about a month ago that a final approval had been granted for the project, which was not how it's supposed to be granted in accordance with our regulations. But the substantive issue now raised is the project is not consistent with our new stormwater management standards, and there are threatened endangered species issues that have been encountered. So when these projects stall somewhat, for whatever the reasons may be, in this particular one, 9 years has lapsed. And we met with the applicant, and obviously they're very disappointed, to put it mildly. They're asking them to address the new standards. That's all I had.
Thanks. Any questions or comments for Chuck? All right, Gina.
Good morning. I think I will be fairly brief this morning. I just wanted to touch on a few activities, mentioning that the DP rule on infrastructure trust fund administration is moving forward, and they gave us a timeline for proposing the rule next late spring, I guess I would call it. So that's good progress there, and hopefully the heavy lift is over for us at this point. And then in addition, I wanted to mention on the rulemaking front, it's not just the GAP rule we're making progress on. There are several other rules that staff is working on, and we're making progress towards those. So hopefully sometime in the new year, we'll be talking about right-of-way and accessible trails and other rule packages. Staff did a presentation on the impact of climate change to the Pinelands management area boundary analysis that we had done. We gave that to the vulnerability assessment work group. That's part of the Interagency Committee on Climate Change. Did I get that acronym right?
Council resilience.
Yeah, say a few more names there. I also wanted to mention that the Pinelands Development Credit Program has been active, and we have some big applications for letters of interpretation on thousands of acres in Washington and Bass River Township. So
And on the other end of that process, Jess has been very busy with processing sales. We've had a number of sales in the last few weeks that we weren't expecting, but for $24,000 a right, which is which is a really nice sum
Number.
of money and really good for the holders of PDC. So we expect to see that continue into the new year.
And then the last thing I would mention. Sorry, not the last thing, almost the last thing, the penultimate thing. The SADC, the State Agricultural Development Committee, released their statewide formula. That was based on the Pinelands formula for appraising farms. So that's just an option for farmers to take if they want to participate in farmland preservation program. They can use the preservation formula for appraisal, or they can use one of the other appraisal methods that SADC offers. So that's out there. And then finally, I would just mention that our annual report to the National Park Service on all the projects funded through them, including our environmental monitoring, cultural resources, calendar, long-term economic monitoring report, all the things that we've done in the past year. That report will be prepared and submitted in December. So that's all I have. Thank you.
Thanks, Gina. Any questions or comments for Gina? Yeah, go ahead.
Based on what the director just said, $24,000 for are we seeing new record levels for Pinelands development credits?
In terms of the prices,
Yeah.
I don't know that that's the highest we've ever seen.
Well, no, in terms of sales prices, I mean, there was a spike in the sales prices, maybe in the mid 2000s, where we saw $40,000 a rate. Yeah, I don't know that, I wouldn't expect personally that we'll reach that again, and I'm not sure that's a bad thing. But we are seeing pretty consistent price increase, slow, steady price increases over the last couple of years. A lot of sales for 22,500. And now we're seeing at least one, a holder of a lot of PDCs selling them for 24,000. So I think that will prompt others to do likewise.
That's what I'm.
Yeah,
Okay.
but lots of activity, and we know a lot of projects are seeking credit purchasing.
Great.
Yeah, so it's a busy time.
Any other questions or comments? No, okay. All right, thanks, Gina. Brad is next.
Sorry. Just a couple of quick updates on December 4th, the State Planning Commission approved the release of the preliminary state plan update. The plan is available online. If any of you would like a link to it, please let us know. We can email it over to you. This marks the beginning of a whole slew of public hearings that are going to be taking place across the state. It's kicking off the cross acceptance process. We are planning to do a more thorough overview of what's in the what this cross acceptance plan will mean for Pinelands and the preliminary state plan at the January P&I committee meeting. Also at the January P&I committee meeting, we are anticipating a couple of conformance items. And we are also planning to do our annual municipal conformance year in review, where we highlight some of the trends that we saw in the past year. So that's all I have.
Any questions or comments for Brad?
What is the time frame for that state planning commission?
So they are the cross acceptance process is going to take definitely a number of months. They're looking to complete that and be prepared to adopt the formal state plan update sometime in the fall of next year. Optimistically.
Ask for us. Any other questions for Brad? All right, thanks. Stacy, you're up next.
Good morning, Commissioners. I just wanted to give you a litigation update with regard to the Clayton appeal. So it's articulated in the management report, but Clayton filed its brief somewhere around July. We received a number of extensions and recently filed our response brief as of the end of November. Clayton's brief was exceptionally overlength. It was 75 pages. The court rules maybe 50 pages for an appeal. Ours was 5 pages over, and we did file a motion for the court to, accept an overlay brief, which they did grant that motion. So our brief has been accepted as filed. In the interim, Winslow Township filed its amicus brief. That brief was replete with arguments that, had no bearing on the actual arguments by Clayton in the appeal. And also, containing documents that were not part of the record below. So a motion to strike the documents in the appendix, and also have Clayton refile its amicus brief, only fixing, Winslow,
Yeah.
sorry.
Too many motions.
Many motions. We have Winslow file a new amicus, but dealing with the issues that are actually before the court in the appeal. So at this point, we are waiting for the court to act on their motion. They then filed a motion to amend the record and add these 6 new documents, which we opposed. And so we are waiting after the motion practice to play out and for Clayton to file its reply. So, as you can see, there has been lots of paperwork flying with regards to. Unless anyone has questions, I will stop there.
Any questions for Stacy? I have comments, but I'll hold them. All right, thank you, Stacy. Last certainly not least, Paul.
All right, good morning and happy Friday the 13th. So all commissioners here should have received a copy of our 2025 Pinelands National Reserve Wall Calendar. We printed a total of 1,200 copies, which is about 400 more than last year. This is funded by the National Park Service. It's another important tool for us to raise awareness and appreciation of the Pinelands, with the idea that the more people learn about it, the more they'll want to protect it. So these are available at 10 sites free of charge while supplies last. Those locations are Bass River State Forest, Batsto Village, Belle Plaine, Brendan Burn, Cloverdale Farm County Park, Estelle Manor Park, Jakes Branch County Park, our office, Wells Mills County Park, and the general store at White Spot, which is open on Saturdays, 10 to 2. I was able to drop them off at each of these sites and felt a little bit like Santa Claus. Everyone's been waiting for them and excited about them. I do know, and it's abundantly clear, if it's not already to everyone in the room, people love the Pinelands and they really want to show off what we have here. And this is one way for them to do it, to give them to their friends, to give them to their mom, to their dad, check out what we have here. So this year we focused on happy trails, and we highlighted 13 total trails here. This front cover is the Batona Trail, 53 miles, connects 3 forests and the park reserve. All the photos here were taken by staff. Sue had early on said that we should create a new map. And so we did. This was created by Mark DiLorenzo of our staff. This shows you the trail sites that are featured here. And as I mentioned last month, it is connected via QR code so that you can scan it with your phone, then download the map and take it with you on your adventures, right? So each month represents a different trail site. Who knows what this is? Don't look. This is the Park Reserve. So this is the Bald Eagle Reservoir. Park Reserve is a property that's about 12,000 acres. It was preserved by the New Jersey Conservation Foundation in 2003. And it's named after the first chairman of the Pinelands Commission. Offers more than 20 miles of trails. And so each calendar has inset photos. You can't see it here, but I'm not going to do that to you because here it is. Here it is. The world debut of Pinelands Commission research scientist Kim Leidig, who is shown seated in the oversized Adirondack chairs at the Park
He's
Reserve.
working very hard.
Yes. He noted several times, this is the only time he's ever goofed off while on the clock. And it's true, probably. So this is an iconic site. If you've ever been to the Park Reserve, located right off of the Red Trail. And so we felt we needed some perspective. We had a picture of just the chairs, but that doesn't show you how big they are.
Right.
So this next site is Bass River State Forest. It was established in 1905 as the first state forest in New Jersey. And this is elevated boardwalk above the Absegami Trail through Atlantic White Cedar Forest. Moving on, this is Estelle Manor Park. This is the Cedar Swamp Trail, which is fully accessible. It goes through a variety of habitats and past the remains of a World War I munitions plant. 1,700 acres, Atlantic County, or Estelle Manor Park, which is also known as Atlantic County Park. I should note that this year's calendar doesn't just include state parks and forests. We included county owned and operated properties, as well as municipal in some cases, and nonprofits. Moving on, this is Cloverdale Farm County Park. This is 90 acres. It's located in the Pinelands area of Barnegat Township off West Bay Avenue. It's a former cranberry and tree farm that Ocean County purchased 20 years ago. And it has a visitor center with exhibits that explore the history and the use of the site as a cranberry farm and cranberry industry. It's a great site to see turtles and birds. And it has trails all the way around the cranberry bogs. Next up is a macro shot of Mount Laurel flowers. If you go to Belle Plaine State Forest, they have an abundance of Mount Laurel blooms all along the trails. It's one of the most iconic sites at Belle Plaine, along with Lake Nummi, which is, here's a bridge over Lake Nummi, and Belle Plaine is considered one of the top birding destinations. There's 40 miles of official trails, 24 of which are designated for non-motorized use. So you can drive them, you can hike them, you can take your bike out there. Next up, this is a diamondback terrapin on Wildlife Drive in the Forsyth Refuge, which is in the Pinelands National Reserve. It's 48,000 acres. In June, you can see an abundance of diamondback terrapins laying eggs along Wildlife Drive. Please drive very slowly. Forsyth is considered one of the top birding destinations in the Northeast. If we were there right now, we would be seeing and hearing literally thousands of snow geese. I was there earlier this week. It is an extraordinarily rich site as far as birds and other wildlife, many trails. They have an abundance of milkweed along the trails, which is very helpful and advantageous to the monarch populations and other pollinators. Meanwhile, here's a foggy morning I saw coming in on Quaker Bridge Road in Morton State Forest, which connects here to the Atzion Trail or the Mullica River Trail. Morton State Forest is the largest in the state as far as the whole largest tract in New Jersey, state-owned tract. It's 122,000 acres. And there's 110 miles of trails in Morton, which is staggering. Moving on, Wells Mills County Park. Here's a photo here of the Macri Trail that winds through the park. It's 8.5 miles. It's the largest park in Ocean County. I think it's 900 acres. Great site to see all kinds of birds, other species. People fish frequently out of the Wells Mills Lake. There's a picture there of a pickerel. Everyone in the room should be familiar with this shot. This is the Black Run Preserve, and this is a bridge that goes over that's part of the Peaceful Partners Trail. And Black Run Preserve is about 1,300 acres. And from this site here, you can see the old cranberry bogs, and often during the warmer weathers in the bogs, you can see an abundance of northern water snakes and birds and other species, carnivorous plants. You can see a lot of green frogs and carpenter frogs and turtles at this site as well. This is another iconic shot here at White's Bog, the Jersey Devil Crossing. This is part of a trail that they have on the site. And I thought that was perfect for October. White's Bog, of course, is part of Brendan Burns State Forest. Moving on, this is Double Trouble State Park, which is a fantastic site, about 8,000 acres, numerous trails, old cranberry bogs. This cedar swamp here, or Lennoxite Cedar Trail, is just stunning. And last but not least is the Batona Trail. We felt we should focus on it because it's our longest trail in the Pinelands and 53 miles. It is a condensed word that stands for back to nature. Lastly, this sort of majestic looking place is the Piney Hollow Preservation Area. This is in Franklin Township. Been there many times. It's another former cranberry farm, 222 acres. If you go there, you're going to see quite a few snakes and frogs, carpenter frogs, cricket frogs, and black rat snakes, and the trails that wind around bogs. And that is it.
Paul, really beautiful, exceptional job. I'm excited to hang it up.
Yes.
Any questions or comments on any of the reports? Go ahead, Jerry.
Just like to say, once again, an outstanding, outstanding, thank you.
Thanks.
And I appreciate the trails and the fact of creating an interactive map, which is gonna stimulate more people to come out and actually find these places for themselves, which is.
Yeah, that's our hope. And I do know, having created this and talking to some staff and other people, because I'm sharing all of these on social media along with information about them. Some of these trails people have never heard of, such as Cloverdale and Piney Hollow. And so they want to check them out, and they are checking them out. And by having the calendars there, that'll get them there. And so that they can learn from the exhibits that are there and then share their photos of the things they see. That's our idea.
Great idea.
Yeah, it's great, and the map and the interactivity of it is really great, so excellent. All right. Moving on, I think the next thing on the agenda. Yeah, okay, so can I get a motion and a second? On the resolution on the Hamilton Township ordinance.
Certainly.
Second.
Thank you. All right, Brad, I think you are gonna talk to us a little more about this for the P&I committee meeting.
I don't know how I follow up,
Yeah, it's.
You don't have pictures?
aerials,
Yeah.
Blueberry Road, that's fun.
So each of you should have received a draft resolution and ED report in your packet related to Hamilton Township Ordinance 2085-2024. This ordinance was adopted by the township in September and adopts a redevelopment plan for block 237, lots 1 and 2. So it's going to be the area on the exhibit that's outlined in red. This redevelopment area is approximately 105 acres and is the site of a former but now vacant industrial building. The existing industrial building predates the CMP and contains approximately 31,000 square feet. Since the P&I committee, we looked into the history a bit more about this facility. Between 1955 and 2010, it operated as a dye. It manufactured dyes and other solutions that were used in the fabric industry. So again, it operated between 1955 and 2010. It is bordered by the Atlantic City Expressway to the south and southwest, privately owned and forested lands to the northwest, and the Makepeace Lake Wildlife Management Area from the northeast to the southeast. You can sort of see a shooting range across the street, across Elwood Road from there. The entirety of this redevelopment area is located in the township's forest area in their FA 70 zone. So in the inset, you can see there's a large swath of green, which is the forest area, and it's kind of right in the middle of it. So the township has been actively seeking a tenant that could return the site to active use. This effort has faced a lot of hurdles because that prior industrial use was non-conforming and has since been deemed abandoned under the regulations of the CMP. This abandonment has prevented the reestablishment of the site as an industrial use. The township's FA 70 zone really reflects the limitations that exist in terms of the uses in the forest area. Things that are permitted there are things like forestry, agriculture, campgrounds, low intensity recreation. Industrial uses are typically, it's not something that's normally found in a forest area. So in the past year, the township was approached by a developer who was interested in reusing the site as a cannabis cultivation facility. So the redevelopment plan is really seeking to effectuate the reuse of the facilities as a cannabis cultivation site. To that end, the redevelopment plan establishes an overlay district that encompasses the entire area in red and permits a Class 1 cultivation facility. Importantly, why it's coming before the commission today is because the township is seeking to utilize CMP's municipal flexibility provisions to provide a limited opportunity for this facility to engage in agricultural products processing. So while CMP does permit agriculture in the forest area, it does not permit agricultural products processing facilities. So under the state's Class 1 cannabis cultivation license, there are some activities that would fall under the definition of ag products processing. These are things like, depending on the methods, drying and curing cannabis, but also processing and packaging. So those are the types of things that they are looking to do that require this redevelopment plan to be adopted. So one of the important aspects of the redevelopment plan is that while the site is 105 acres, it specifically limits those activities to a 10-acre area that's been previously developed and cleared. So that's what's depicted on the exhibit outlined in yellow. So, any development that's associated with a cannabis Class 2 facility is going to be limited to that area. The remainder of the site is going to be, it's going to be permitted to uses will be permitted to the extent that they're permitted in the FA 70 zone. Generally, the CMP has always allowed Pinelands municipalities to refine and adapt various standards and tailor them to local conditions, provided that CMP goals and objectives continue to be achieved. Staff finds that this limited opportunity for the redevelopment of this existing industrial building in the township's forest area represents an appropriate exercise of that flexibility. So staff is recommending certification of this redevelopment plan. I just wanted to touch on one thing that came up during the P&I committee. It was related to, the former use. So additionally, we did find out that that there has been ongoing remediation at this site since the 1990s with oversight from DEP. They've needed to do remediation work on the soils and some of the groundwater. That will be ongoing until DEP groundwater quality standards are met. The redeveloper is aware of that, of the status of remediation at the site. So with that, I'll happy to take any questions.
Thanks, Brad. Any questions for Brad?
So, usage of cannabis manufacturing there. You mentioned DEP because that was going to be my question, considering what the usage was prior as a dye factory, the ground is definitely contaminated. So on contingency, the DEP gives them the okay to clean it up and it gets cleaned up, and then a cannabis operation can then begin. So my question is, why are we approving it until DEP does their due diligence?
Well, let me just clarify that we're not approving development here today. We're only asking the commission to approve a redevelopment plan that Hamilton Township has adopted. They will still need, the applicant will still need some complete development application with the commission and meet all of our environmental standards.
Yeah.
The remediation and cleanup work has been ongoing since the 1990s, so that's in process. It will need to continue and be completed. Obviously, nothing.
Who is cleaning that site up?
I would assume it's the former or the current owner, current owner, prior operator of the business. Right?
I believe that's.
Yeah, I believe we looked at the DEP geomap yesterday, or geodatabase yesterday, and it looks as if the applicant who's looking to do the facility is actually involved in the cleanup. My recollection is that the concept plan involves indoor cultivation.
Oh, yes, it's all
And
indoor.
so this isn't going to be cultivated out on the ground.
So there is no outdoor up to this.
There
It's
is-
allowed in New Jersey, but
Correct.
still there hasn't been one developer to be able to get passage of an outdoor.
We've seen some proposals for that. but
So,
no one has
yes.
And in looking at, the available records from DEP online, the interior of the facility is not contaminated. They're dealing with soils that they're using a vapor extraction system with, and they are also doing or dealing with associated groundwater contamination from VOCs from that dye operation. So you know, the remediation is ongoing. We have a file here because whenever there's remediation in the Pinelands, that documentation comes here as well. And the last letter I saw, I think, was 2024. So they're in the process of working through their engineering controls and monitoring of how the levels of contamination at the property, they are decreasing. Anticipation or expectation will be that they will continue to decrease.
Any other questions? All right, hearing none, all in favor?
Uh,
Oh, I think Doug, you were muted.
Aye.
Thank you. Opposed? Abstentions? Great, thank you. All right, next up is public comment, but on an application for a public development project. This is not open public comment. That will come later in the meeting. We're gonna open up public comment. The application is from Stockton University for construction of pedestrian walkways. Do we have any more info? It seems pretty self-explanatory. Anyone in the room want to give public comment on Stockton's walkways? Okay. Paul, I don't think we're gonna. Did you put up the numbers?
Sorry,
That's okay.
I was retrieving the. Okay.
Oh, I thought you were looking at your calendar.
No. Retrieving
That's what I would be
sign-in
doing.
sheet.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
That's for later.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll just have to pause a minute.
Yeah, we'll just give it a minute. Anyone who would like to give public comment specifically on Stockton University's application? All right, anyone online? I feel like I know the answer. All right, no one, Paul?
No call it.
All right, I'm gonna close this portion of public comment. If there is anyone who wants to comment on the Stockton application, obviously can do so during the broader public comment at the end of the meeting. Next up, just some local ordinances, municipal ordinances that do not require our action. We're going back to Brad for some info on this.
Yep, so the Land Use Programs Office reviewed 5 ordinances last month that raised no substantial issue. 2 ordinances were from the Borough of Medford Lakes and were focused on strengthening protections around demolition of log cabins, both within and outside the borough's historic district. As anyone knows who's been to Medford Lakes, it's an important part of their community. So these ordinances were reviewed to ensure they meet the CMP cultural resource standards, which they do. The other 3 ordinances implemented the 2023 KC rules that were adopted by the commission, as well as the 2023 DEP stormwater rule amendments. And I just wanted to mention that the deadline to adopt the model ordinances related to the KC rules was December 4th. I'm pleased to report that, we've gotten a lot of adoptions. All but 3 municipalities have met the deadline. Staff is continuing to work with those 3 remaining municipalities, and given the calendar year, we're anticipating adoptions ideally in the early months of 2025. But that was good progress following up.
Awesome, thank you. Any questions or comments for Brad on those ordinances? Okay, hearing none, moving on. Can I get a motion and a second on a resolution to schedule our commission meeting dates for 2025? Second. All right, thanks. And Sue, we'll go over to you.
Yeah, I have nothing really noteworthy in terms of the commission actual monthly meeting dates. The schedule remains pretty much what we've been doing for a long time. That's how we used to. And Mark, I didn't know if you wanted to mention anything about like climate committee. We'll be seeing committee meeting dates, and that schedule will go out in January or next week. with the schedule for policy committee meetings and budget committee meetings for the year. But what you won't see are suggested dates for climate committee meetings. And Mark's going to talk a little bit about why that is.
Okay, thank you, Susan. Yeah, last fall, I did an email poll from fellow members of the climate committee, asking what their sentiment was with regard to scheduling meetings. Our meeting schedule has often changed. We started out several years ago with a monthly meeting, then we shifted to a quarterly meeting. Then at times, we didn't even maintain a quarterly meeting schedule for issues, difficulty to get a quorum at times, and difficulty to get items for the agenda with even that limited level of frequency. So the poll of the committee members was that they agreed that perhaps what we should be doing is looking to allow climate issues to become a routine focus of the policy implementation committee. So that, for the upcoming year, we're going to try that and make sure we have, to the extent there are climate issues, especially since most of the members of the climate committee also sit on the P&I committee. So requiring them to go to multiple meetings just because of different subject matters, when really those subject matters ought to be able to be blended into a single meeting, should work out. So I subsequently met with the director and with Chairman Matos, and we talked about this. And the one thing that I urged at that meeting was that for all the work that we have done over the past several years, we've done a lot of important things, especially with regard to reduction of carbon footprint here on our property, being aware of what we can do in our own operations to minimize climate impact. I emphasize that, one thing that I think is key that remains to be done, apart from the routine updating with what the state DEP is doing, the committee that Gina referenced earlier, the interagency committee on climate that we are a part of. But apart from those things, it still remains for us who are interested and active on the climate committee to look to ways that the CMP may benefit by amendment in order to address climate issues. And as I've discussed that with the director and with the chair, and they agreed that, yeah, we'll keep a focus on that. I sent them a memo back in July 22 outlining some specific areas that I thought we could look at. Yeah, and so that effort will continue, but we'll be doing it now through the P&I committee chaired by Chairman Matos. So thank you.
I want to thank you, Mark, actually, for being willing to change the approach and recognize the demands of having additional committee meetings create, not just for the staff, but also for the handful of commissioners who serve on both committees. It was definitely becoming, I could see, difficult for that same small group of commissioners to attend multiple committee meetings monthly and then a full commission meeting, and we're beginning to see the issues with that, where it's difficult to get a quorum at a lot of these committee meetings. We were having to cancel them. So I'm hopeful that by consolidating everything and focusing some of the agendas on those issues, we'll have more success with the meetings and making progress. And if we don't, we can try a different approach next, following.
All right, any questions or comments for Sue or Mark, I guess? All right, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
All right.
Opposed, abstentions? All right, guys, thank you. Okay. Public comment period. Just going to say, obviously, anyone who wants to give public comment here or remotely via the phone would like to hear from you. But because we do have a full house, literally standing room only here today, we are gonna limit to 3 minutes per person. Those of you who have been here before know I'm a little loose with the timekeeping, but we're gonna try and keep it going today. So I have a list in front of me. We'll ask the folks that are calling in. We're gonna get through folks in the room first and then go to you on the phone. So if you are on the line, we ask you to please hold. I do have a note from Amy Noble asking if she can go first, so I will graciously honor that request. So Amy, you wanna kick us off? Maybe she has, oh, maybe, yeah, maybe she has to leave. Okay, next up, John Volpa. Right there. Oh, yeah, please. Yes, please come and use the chair and make sure the mic is on, please. All right, thank you. Go ahead, John.
Good morning, commissioners. My name is John Volpa, Evesham Township resident, founder of the Black Run Preserve and past chair of the Friends of the Black Run Preserve. I retired from the Board of Trustees in May, therefore I speak as a private citizen. The Black Run Preserve has long been recognized by its largely unspoiled pine barrens, flora and fauna. In fact, it was the Pinelands Commission's first chief scientist, Dr. Robert Zampella, who referred to what became the Black Run Preserve and its headwaters as pristine pine barrens. As special as this Evesham Township owned open space is, the land had not been treated as if it were special. Instead, over decades, it had become a dumping ground for all manner of refuse, a haven for bonfires, drinking and drugs. Illegal ORV use was common, and it continues to leave its mark in the Arrowhaven section, stopping any chance for natural restoration to take hold. What did take hold was the desire of local citizens to care for the land, protect it, restore it, and utilize it for sustainable recreational activities. In 2007, the Black Run Preserve was officially named, and the Friends of the Black Run Preserve won in 2012. During those 17 years, over 1,000 volunteers conducted numerous cleanup events, installed infrastructure, constructed, mapped, marked, and maintained over 19 miles of multi-use trails. Volunteers participated in a variety of committees that conduct restoration projects, citizen science projects, diverse number of educational programs, and community events. The BRP's Peace and Pristine Beauty inspires volunteers to such great heights. Because of those accomplishments, the BRP's public health, economic, and ecological value is now recognized across the region. It really warms my heart to see it included in the calendar. The BRP's social infrastructure enables people to utilize its pine barrens' true value as a portal to wellness and peace. Now, before this commission is the opportunity to make the crucial first step to ensure the Black Run's headwaters are preserved and protected from development. If the headwaters ever became a part of Evesham Township's open space, then I'd like to believe the Black Run Preserve and dream about how it could grow by 700 acres. This year, the Evesham Township Environmental Commission received ANJAC's Environmental Achievement Award for its 2023 Open Space and Recreation Plan element of its master plan. The following is an excerpt from the OSRP. Quote, the Evesham Township headwaters area consists of both wet forests and upland forests. It is the location where the headwaters of both Barton Run and Black Run begin, and it is also a region of the highest recharge to groundwater within Evesham Township. The habitats in this area have been documented as having very high integrity, according to Pinelands Commission studies, meaning the creeks are pristine pine barrens water, and the forests are highly diverse. Several endangered and threatened species are documented in this area. The area is adjacent to land that's been preserved by Evesham Township. Its status within the Pinelands Rural Development Area does not offer significant protection from development on the upland locations within the area.
Mr. Volpe, I'm sorry, can you just wrap it? I know you're in a group, but 3 minutes are up. Thank you.
30 seconds.
Okay.
Development has occurred south of this region and with the township nearly built out in other locations. This is perhaps the most threatened part of Evesham, making preservation and protection of this area paramount, unquote. The OSRP goes on to recommend the acquisition of the Evesham headwaters as a top priority. The headwaters are the ecological key to the future of the Black Run Preserve, and if it has a chance to remain pristine, it must start with its designation as forest area. I urge the Pinelands Commission to redesignate Evesham headwaters to forest area. Such an action would make a major step towards preservation. Then local government, nonprofits, government agencies can work together to purchase it, ensuring its preservation, protection, and accessibility for future generations to enjoy.
Thank you, Mr. Volpa. Next up, Ron Pugh.
I'll defer today, thank you.
Okay, thank you. Mark Thomas. Mark? Oh, maybe left, okay. No, it wasn't something I said. Harry Harper. She was probably, I was gonna say, I didn't do that. Sorry.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. Harry Harper, Pembroke Township. I'd like to thank you all for the great job you've been doing, preserving as much greenery as you have. But I'd also like to say we need to do more. You guys need to do more. We need to do more. As a newly elected council person in Pembroke Township, my colleagues and I are going to do everything we can to preserve ground. I'm sure you've heard our planning board shot down the Pole Bridge project from Equity Enterprises. We know that battle is not over with yet, but we'd like you guys to start thinking about possibly helping us save that ground when it does come to an end, any way possible. I know you guys stepped in at one point, thought you were helping. I believe you only muddied the waters because, we couldn't talk with any of your experts as far as their decisions on things. The little one paragraph, letter you sent to our planning board was confusing. It went against your own Pinelands regulations on designating wetlands and stuff. I know the DEP has to get more involved as far as, their way they do studies for endangered species. But again, we just need all the help we can get to preserve all the ground we can. We know we can't stop everything, but we need to make sure what does get done, gets done properly and doesn't, adversely affect the environment. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Harry. Next up, Lisa Berg.
Morning, ladies and gentlemen. My name is Lisa Berg from Evesham Township. I'm here representing several neighbors. There was 15 of us at the most recent environmental committee meeting in Evesham Township to speak on the fact that they're trying to put a public access and parking lot in our neighborhood. I live on Kenilworth Road, which is a mile-long road, which intersects with Tomlinson Mill, which is where they want to put the parking lot from what we're told. All to be an accessible point for ADA compliance. I get ADA compliance. My husband and I are retired police officers. We now have a dog training and boarding facility. We also train service dogs for veterans. So I understand ADA. The problem is this access point is in the midst of a neighborhood. It's going to affect the quality of life of the neighbors who we have no sidewalks. We have 6 streetlights in a mile and a half of roadway. The access point is also intended to be located across the street from a private residence. That portion of Tomlinson Mill Road only has 3 residents. The road itself becomes a one lane width to a dead end. I was there recently in that part after listening to the meeting from your April session regarding promoting the development of these trails, that there are existing 4-foot trails, there are not. I was in there with my dogs, there's 3 trails, they all end in dead end, all surrounded by water. In order to go up there, you have to go in, you get turned around, it's a dead end, you're gonna have to be using either people's private property, or the dead end is also a neighbor who has her property as a certified wildlife preservation. I think I'm using the right term. Couple of neighbors who have been lifelong residents along Kenilworth Road as well. Have talked about being in those areas, in that specific area, and wildlife, I'm sorry, plants that are endangered. I'm not even going to attempt.
No Latin required, right?
Yeah, thank you, because the one who is a retired school teacher gave it 7, I'm like, there's no way. And the concern with the neighbors who are familiar with that area and the plants, one of which is the ghost pipe and the other one is the trailing arbutus or mayflower. They don't bloom until spring, they're not prevalent until spring, and their concern is when these studies are being done to see whether this area is affected with these plants, or if the plants will be affected. The trails that are back there, that I went on, in the meeting back in April, it was discussed that there's, trash cans at every trailhead. There are none in this area. My neighbors and I have cleaned up multiple times. The Elks Lodge of Marlton also does every 6 months cleanup. We've had to call the township 3 times, Department of Public Works, and come out to this particular area that is designated as the parking area for dumped couches, tires, trash, liquor bottles, even buckets of old cigarette ashes just dumped in the middle of the street, et cetera, and all this affects the neighborhood. So,
Or if I could ask you to wrap up.
I'm sorry.
If I could ask you to wrap up, please, 3 minutes.
So we understand that there's going to be future meetings on this, and I just wanted to let you know that the neighbors are concerned about this, not only the effect on the quality of life, but the effect of developing anything in that small section of Black Run. There are 5 other access points off of Kettle Run Road that do not affect quality of life for anybody. It's just accessing to Black Run, which we all enjoy, but it's not going to be conducive to the neighborhood. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Amy Golden.
I want to say thank you to commissioners and to Executive Director Rogan for listening to us and being responsive and understanding that the Black Run rule proposal is a priority, and so I appreciate you moving it forward. And I just want to let you know how special the Black Run Preserve is. In 2007, I moved directly behind the watershed. I had no idea what it was. I just thought, oh, this is cool. We can go hiking back there. And at the time it was, there were no trespassing signs, just to let you know I was walking legally. The next thing I know, I'm walking down to Black Run Preserve. And then I meet John Volpo, and it's changed the trajectory of my life. That place is special, just like my shirt says. It's an unusual place, and if you haven't visited, I invite you all to come. We happen to have 7 trustees here today, and ambassadors, and we would all like to see you there. We'll give you a private tour. Thank you.
Thank you, Amy. Amy, no, that's not. Jace, Amy Golden, you signed up twice. I assume you're on. Okay.
That's fine.
She wanted to make sure, right, just wanted to make sure. It's like 3 Amy's in a row, but 2 of them are Amy Golden and Amy Noble. So, Jason Howard.
Hi, everybody. Jason Howell, Pinelands Preservation Lines. We had a lot of great news the last couple of weeks. Warren State Forest updated their visitor map, first time since 1966. Whole Bridge Forest application before the Pemberton Township Planning Board was rejected because of endangered species concerns and wetlands concerns, which leads me to the point that I think, we have an opportunity to upgrade how the commission evaluates projects in terms of how endangered species studies are commissioned. Right now, they're commissioned by the applicant. The applicant hires the consultants, and that creates an inherent conflict of interest. the consultant that finds endangered species doesn't get hired again. So I think a better way to do it would be for the commission to actually have a list of qualified consultants, which could be selected for a various application based on the expertise of the consultants. That I think would eliminate that conflict of interest and I think provide more public trust on the whole process. Additionally, I think it could be better off if the commission actually consults with the science staff on endangered species studies and identification of wetlands. Specifically, I think it would be an improvement to require that the commission staff use the Pinelands Commission's own manual to delineate and identify wetlands in the Pinelands. I think that should be an explicit requirement in the CNP. So when you're doing these updates with global warming, I think that could be, you know, another improvement that could be made. So everybody's here today, really happy with your work. Calendar looks amazing. All the work in Hamilton Township and other places to really improve the Pinelands. I think everybody appreciates it. Thank you.
Thanks, Jake. So you're good? Okay. Max Murphy.
Hello, everyone. My name is Max Murphy, and I want to first thank the commission for taking this on as a priority, but I'm still going to do my little spiel. As an ecologist and someone who has lived in the Pine Barrens my entire life, I'm calling on the Pinelands Commission to redesignate the 900 acres of headwater land next to the Black Run Preserve as Pinelands Forest area. In addition to being a crucial wildlife habitat, the preserve and its surrounding area provides essential ecosystem services to nearby communities, including groundwater and stream recharge, erosion control, and recreation for thousands of people. Headwater area houses diverse wildlife and vegetation because of the specific environmental conditions created by the cool water temperatures. Protecting headwater area is especially important in the case of the Pine Barrens ecosystem, where we already see many species, including unique species endemic to the area, facing increased vulnerability to habitat loss and degradation. Additionally, the acres of headwater area is located in the southwest branch of the Rannocoats Creek, one of New Jersey's most significant waterways. Allowing development plans to go through on this land would likely cause degradation of water resources for thousands of people in both New Jersey and Philadelphia. Furthermore, the pristine forests and waterways act as a natural sponge protecting the surrounding area from flooding during storms. We have already experienced increased and unprecedented flooding throughout the state of New Jersey in recent years, which has caused massive damage to both public and private property. Allowing development would increase the vulnerability of those living in the communities surrounding the headwaters. Allowing the development of the headwater land next to Black Run Preserve would be a tragedy to the Pine Barrens and our neighbors, and is a risk we cannot afford to take. With every delay in action, there's further increased risks to the critical environment. Thank you for your time.
Thank you, Max. Is there anyone else in the room who did not sign up who would like to give public comment? Okay, I saw that hand in the back first. I just asked when you come up, just state your name.
Yeah. Hi, I'm Jonathan Duff. I'm a resident of Southampton Township. I'm here on behalf of several residents who are concerned about a roundabout permit that's been requested by the county government to go up in Chemung Township. I forget what the name of the intersection is, but this would actually firstly cost the taxpayers $3 to $4 million for a roundabout they don't want and didn't ask for, just because it's a county road. It would completely remove the entire front yard from a resident. A woman who lives close to the intersection where the roundabout would be built. The county actually went on her land without her consent or knowledge, dug several holes. She fell in one of them and broke her leg and is currently in the process of suing the county. It would also remove 10% of a farmer's land. I know that the county engineers submitted a permit or said that they would be doing so to this commission. And so I urge you, in the name of the sanctity of the land that it would erode, in the name of the residents who would be encroached upon without their consent or knowledge, and on behalf of the entire Chemung Township government, who have said at their last meeting, that they do not want this roundabout and didn't ask for it. It's an egregious waste of taxpayer dollars, and it does erode some natural land adjacent to the place where it would be built. I'd also like to speak in favor of the wetlands, and in favor of, preserving Black Run Trail. I am a resident of the county lifelong. I've been there many times. It is a beautiful and unique place. I actually don't know anywhere else in the county that's quite like it. And I'd also like to speak on the Birmingham warehouses in Pemberton. Pemberton has been hit with several new warehouses in the last couple of years. Again, the residents didn't ask for them and didn't want them. That's why they voted out the current government. And I say, in the name of decency, in the name of the people's mandate that they just gave to the new people who are coming into Pemberton Township, hopefully to change things, who campaigned against the development of new warehouses. Please help us to stop it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Jonathan. Okay. I saw another hand back there, yes. And then you'll be in the red shirt, you'll be now. You're good?
Yeah, I'm all good, thank you.
He stole your speech, didn't he?
All right,
Okay, please state your name.
Hi, yeah, I'm Robin Mellon. I'm a resident of Clementon, and I am here with this ambassador speaking for the creatures of Black Run Preserve, for all of the non-human beings that live in and around. But I bring this especially as a reminder of all the children that live in Camden County, in and around Black Run Preserve, that are going to be affected in the next generation, and the generation after that, when we're no longer around. And the duty that we have to preserve as much land as we possibly can, to keep the waters clean, to keep as many trees as possible, to protect our children and all of these creatures, all of their habitats, all of our children's homes and our grandchildren's homes. I was planning on bringing my children here this morning. I have a 3-year-old and a 5-year-old, and we go to Black Run very often. And I decided not to do that because of chaos. But I did bring this friend. The beavers are our kin, and I spoke to my daughter this morning. She was like, "Where are you going?" And I said, I tried to give her the long answer, and she was like, "That doesn't make any sense." And I was like, "Okay, I'm going to a meeting because we really care about the forest and we really need clean water." Right? I said, "Do you care about the forest?" She said, "Yeah." I said, "Do you want clean water? Do you want to be able to drink and to bathe?" And she was just like, "Well, yeah, of course." And I said, "Do you want to come with me?" And she said, "Yeah, I would come with you." And it was really that simple. And I realized there's so many things that we need to do. There's so much research that we need to do in order to pass all of these ordinances all of the time, right? But really, when it comes down to it, all we need to do is ask very simple questions. Do we want to protect the forest? Yeah. Do we want to protect the habitat for these animals? Yes. Do we want to have clean water for ourselves and for future generations? Yes. So it's really just that simple. And I wanted to be here speaking for my kids. So thank you.
Thank you, Robin.
Thank you very much. My name is Eric Heyman from Cinnaminson Township, not in the Pinelands, but I've lived in the Pine Barrens for a couple of years when I lived in Medford Township. So I've always been very involved and committed to the Pine Barrens and preserving it. And I'm just kind of repeating a lot of what the prior speakers have been saying. We appreciate, of course, all the work that you guys are doing to help the redesignating of the process of redesignating Black Run, and I fully support it. I've been out there a couple of times this year, and as somebody that lives further towards the Delaware, we don't have a lot of big open spaces like this. So being out in Black Run, it was just it's almost borderline life-changing, be able to just be out there. And I think it's very vital that the Pinelands Commission continue to protect that. Because the thing about living out in the further suburbs is we don't have a lot of open spaces. There's a lot of cement and there's a lot of storm water and flooding and all of that. So to be out here, not having to worry about any of that, not having to see any of that. It was almost like a little vacation away from all of that, you know what I mean? So I advocate that you guys continue that process, and we look forward to the hearing on that hopefully sometime next year. Thank you very much, everybody.
Thank you, Eric. Is there anyone else in the room who did not sign up to speak who would like to speak? All right, seeing no hands, looks like we have some folks waiting on the phone. So Paul, I give it to you.
Good morning, caller. You are live in our meeting. Can you please state your name for the record?
Hello, hello. Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Hi, I'm sorry.
For the record.
Sorry, I'm having trouble hearing you.
That's okay.
This is Han.
Can you please state your name for the record?
Yes, this is Hannah Katz.
Okay. The floor is yours. You can speak.
Okay, thank you so much. Hi, everyone. Thank you for having me. My name's Hannah Katz, and I came to a previous commission meeting on behalf of ANJEC, the Association of New Jersey Environmental Commissions. I'm coming here today to visit once again, but on behalf of Cherry Hills Deer Park Fire Company, in which I'm a volunteer responder on. I had the unfortunate, well, it was a pleasure to serve, but it was unfortunate that we had to respond to the fire that happened at Black Run recently. And so I got to see firsthand the impact of the wildfires there and the environmental condition there. And so hearing about the development that's happening in that immediate area right now seems to be coming at a time where the environment there needs attention the most. And as someone who was managing the disaster firsthand, I would really like to encourage further work to conserve the wildlife and the biodiversity and the treasure that is Black Run Preserve. As someone who's been going to the reservation since I was young, growing up in South Jersey, it's a valued area, and the last thing we need is more inequitable housing taking over natural space that is shrinking more and more every year and becoming more and more vulnerable to wildfires. So right now the environment could really use your help, and I appreciate the work that the Commission is doing to protect the biodiversity and the land that is there right now. And I hope we can continue. So if there's anything that ANJEC, Climate Revolution, Deer Park Fire Company, any of us can do for you, please let us know, and we're always happy to help. And thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, anyone else on the phone call?
Yes.
Okay.
So,
Good morning, caller. You are live in our meeting. Can you please mute your computer?
Please let us know, and we're always happy to help. And thank you so much.
Good morning, caller. Can you mute your computer?
Hello? Yes?
Yes. Okay.
Yes, I did.
Can you state your name for the record?
My name is Paul Funk. I'm from Camden County.
Okay.
I often visit the Black Run Preserve because it's from western Camden County to the Pines. Black Run Preserve is the quickest access for me. I can even ride my bicycle just 5 miles. I'm not a great bike rider, but I will visit the Black Run Preserve by riding just 5 miles from my home to the Black Run Preserve. As far as these natural places, they are living things, and they are innocent living things. They have no defense except their own ecology. And the developers that prey upon these natural places should be thwarted. And I urge the Pinelands Commission to help preserve these innocent natural places like they would an endangered species who has no defense from development. And thank you for considering my comment.
Thank you, Paul.
Good morning. Okay.
Caller.
Okay.
Good morning, caller. You are live in our meeting. Can you please state your name for the record? Good morning, caller. You are live in our meeting. Can you please state your name for the record? Looks like they tried to join it as Zoom versus the caller.
Right. Okay, do we have any other callers on the line?
No other callers.
All right, it looks like the name of the mystery caller is Tara. Tara, if you can hear, you should hang up from the Zoom and just dial in via phone to the number that you see on the screen. We'll give it a minute. Maybe. All right. Muted.
Kara, can you hear us? You are live in our meeting. If you have a comment, please go ahead.
All right. Yeah, yeah, I don't know that Tara's gonna be able to.
Oh, I'm sorry. Did you say Tara?
Tara, hooray.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry, I'm kind of new to this. Hi, my name is Tara Rosansky. I am calling in from actually Collingswood. However, I am a Whitesbog employee. I've had the honor and privilege to learn more about the Pinelands throughout the 2 years that I've actually been back in New Jersey. I would be lying if I didn't say it was a big reason why I moved back from Maryland to New Jersey. It's incredibly important to obviously many New Jersey residents. In the time that I worked at Whitesbog, and I continue to work at Whitesbog, I've joined the education team, and I get to see kids interact with nature and learn about the importance of the Pinelands in general. I just want to bring light to that in terms of climate change and global warming and the crisis that's going on with that. I do think it's incredibly important to be able to give kids a chance to explore the Pinelands. And I think preserving them and not allowing development to happen on them is really crucial for not only the future of the education in the Pinelands and about its diverse ecosystem and its unique ecosystem that will affect everything else in the Pinelands, but also for kids to learn about global warming and the global warming crisis. I think it's incredibly crucial for that. And I'm sorry, I'm shaking, I'm a little nervous here. But I think it's really important that we keep that in mind as we're discussing these things. Because Black Run Preserve, I know many parents, I think a couple people have said this, take their children there too. And a lot of kids learn about the environment and the importance and the impact of all of this stuff just by going to the Pine Barrens. I really need to stress that it's incredibly important to protect this land and possibly protect more land so we can designate that for specifically from an education standpoint. That's just my 2 cents. Thank you for listening to me.
Thank you, Tara. All right, looks like we have a couple other folks on the line.
Okay. Good morning, caller. You are live in our meeting. Can you please state your name for the record?
This is Paul Funk. I called earlier.
Okay.
I wanted to know if I was turning my computer volume off and on. I wanted to know if my comment was recorded.
Yeah. Yes, we got you, Paul. You're all good.
Oh, all right, wonderful. All right, have a good day now. Bye.
All right. Okay. Caller here. Good morning, caller. You are live in our meeting. Can you please state your name for the record? Good morning, caller. You are live in our meeting. Can you please state your name for the record?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, hi, sorry, this is Ben Jobek. I am the Executive Director of Climate Revolution Action Network.
Okay, Ben, go ahead.
Okay, so I just wanted to quickly come on here and say that, you know, for future generations, we are in strong support of preserving the area next to Black Run Preserve. I thank you guys a lot for taking the time to get, you know, almost a finalized version sent over to the governor's office. This is going to be huge. It's going to be huge. We've taken groups of students out there. There are activists on every single campus who knows about this. And we're really excited for there to be new preserved land and to continue fostering New Jersey's environment. This 900 acres are incredibly vital to the state's future with trillions of gallons worth of water. And we want to make sure this is protected. We've heard from a lot of residents that they've already seen contractors out spraying, trying to mark locations about where they were going to go and develop. And we think that's insane. And we really encourage the commission to take as many steps as possible to get this going and save this massive amount of land. And, you know, whatever you need from young activists, we're here. We'll be showing up to every commission meeting that we can, and happy to be here and be engaged on this issue. So thank you for the time and consideration and fighting for a better future for the Pinelands.
Thank you, Ben. Okay, next, looks like we have a couple folks in the meeting.
Good morning, caller. Can you please mute your computer? Thank you. Good morning, caller. Can you please state your name for the record? You are live in our meeting.
Mary Council.
Could you repeat that, please?
Mary Council. Can you hear me?
I'm not talking anymore.
I'm sorry. Can you say that your name again, or maybe spell it? We're having trouble.
Mary Council.
Mary Council. Okay, you are live in our meeting. Please proceed with your statement.
I'm a resident of Voorhees, and I just want to say, as the state of New Jersey is the most densely populated state in the nation, the Pinelands are the lungs of the state, and we need to preserve the Pinelands because the state is so congested that the state can't breathe. So I'm just asking that, you know, that you not vote for the development and preserve the Pinelands. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary.
Okay, one more call. Good morning, caller. You are live in our meeting. Can you please state your name for the record?
You not vote for the development.
Can you please mute your computer? Thank you. And can you please state your name for the record? You are live.
Hi, my name is Kristen Straley. Can you hear me?
Yes, thank you. Please proceed with your comments.
Yeah, sure. My last name is spelled Streahle. I am a resident of Massachusetts, but I grew up in New Jersey and I went to Cherokee High School. And I'm calling because the Pinelands were so very instrumental in my upbringing. And this reminds me of high school organizing when we were faced with the development of the sanctuary, and my students with me, we fought to preserve the rattlesnakes. And I just feel like this is a repeat of every other fight that we've had. And I personally, when I return, I've taught all over the country, in Washington State, in Virginia, in Ithaca, New York. I've taught in Italy, and I always come home to Black Run. It is such an important place for me and for so many other people on this call. And I just want to echo all of the very wonderful comments that have been raised by other people who want to protect these many hundreds of acres. In particular, I really want to highlight how we can continue following the path of really radical conservation that has been happening all over the country.
When I was teaching in Washington State, we were fighting to undam the Klamath and to preserve other areas in Washington. And the results of those efforts have brought forth just amazing, amazing results. And I really would love to see that happening in New Jersey as well, to continue our efforts to preserve and protect this important zone, and to create a real sanctuary in the Pinelands. I know that it is personally has been a sanctuary for me and for so many other people who are present. I'm going to halt my comments because people have so many more details to share, but on a very personal level, I was devastated to hear that there is consideration of developing on headwaters. That just sounds unbelievably regressive. So I hope that this committee, this commission does the right thing and listens to the community and to your constituents who want to preserve this area. Thank you so much for taking my call.
Thank you, Kristen. Okay, I think that is it, right?
There are no more callers.
All right, I am going to close public comment period. And as mentioned earlier in the meeting, there is a need for us to go into closed session. So Stacy or Jay, can you please just give a little intel on what the closed session is for, and then we'll do a motion and vote.
Sure, I can, I think it's to discuss personnel matters, is my understanding. And I'll read the Open Public Meetings Act statement.
Thanks.
Okay, so pursuant to the Open Public Meetings Act, NJSA 10:4-13, it is hereby resolved that the Pinelands Commission shall now go into executive session to discuss personnel matters, pending or anticipated litigation, any matters falling within the attorney-client privilege, and any matters falling under NJSA 10:4-12B that have arisen during the public portion of the meeting. The minutes of such meetings shall remain confidential until the commission determines the need for confidentiality no longer exists.
Thank you, Jay. So can I get a motion in a second?
That we go into closed session.
Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, we're going to close.
I'm gonna have to stick around for a second to shut down the stream temporarily. I need to leave.
We're gonna take a short recess while we get ourselves organized.
I heard Washington, that's your response.